Good morning, Tim. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Chris. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day out, and I'm looking forward to getting outside, collecting a little vitamin D.
Same here.
Yeah. So you've been in private practice now for a number of years. Tim, as a lawyer, you handle all different types of cases. What are you seeing right now in this COVID-19 environment? What should people be worried about? What should people be planning for? What are you seeing out there?
Well, Chris, I am. I've been a lawyer now for over 10 years here in New Bedford, and there's a couple different things that I think that we see going on right now. Number one, anytime you have something like a tragedy like this or a disease like this that kind of makes us all face our own mortality, estate planning is something that jumps out. And estate planning is something that a lot of us tend to neglect. It's something that you probably think about when you first have children or start a family, and then, again, it's something that you think about as you kind of get on in years and you're maybe starting to set up your children and their children for the future. But estate planning is something that I think, because of this COVID and we're all facing a mortality, is something that people are planning for, and you're seeing a lot of people call about that. And I think one important thing for people to know now is that estate planning is something that it traditionally has been done through face-to-face meetings, but it's really something that can be done over the phone or via Zoom or a lot of these apps. And now we can sign, you can witness, you can notarize things remotely. So it's something that you can still do with all these restrictions in place.
We're speaking with attorney Tim Walsh, who's been practicing law here, as you said, about 10 years, right here in the New Bedford area. So, Tim, the estate planning piece, of course, is we see people are getting struck down by this virus. It tends to be older people, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's older people. And people can run into situations that they never thought of. Because of this, they might be more vulnerable than they ever realized. When's the best time to get those your affairs in order?
Really, there's never a bad time to get those affairs in order. The first time most people start thinking about it again is when they start their own family. But there is never a bad time. And no matter what your circumstance financially is, there is an estate plan for you. First of all, it's always important, I think, to have, whether it's an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, someone that you trust, that you can go to. And many competent lawyers can do a basic estate plan for most people. And I think that if you do have that trust in your lawyer, and you can go to them and you can explain to them kind of what your assets are and what your plan is and what your goals are, they should be able to tell you, here's what I can do to help you, or, you know what, based on the amount of assets that you have and based on the plan that you would like to implement, I think you should see an estate planning expert. And there's a big difference in that. I think a basic will, a healthcare proxy, maybe a power of attorney, for many people is all that you need. But if your net worth is going to exceed the estate tax, both whether that's Massachusetts, which is $1 million, or the federal estate tax, which is about $11.5 million, that's when you should probably see an estate planning expert to do more than your basic will and healthcare proxy. That's when you should start thinking about giving gifts annually, creating trusts, doing some other creative, maybe Medicare or Medicaid planning, some more creative planning to protect your assets as much as you can.
We're speaking with Tim Walsh, who's a local attorney and a friend of mine. So Tim, how do people get in touch with you, for instance, if they had questions about that?
So the easiest way is the telephone 508-993-9711. I also, because of what's going on right now, a lot of us are working remotely. I have three. I heard Congressman Kennedy before. I have three children at home. I think he said he has two,
right.
And mine are 1, 3, and 5. So there's a lot of time at home, as the Congressman said, trying to prevent them from hurting each other or the house and keeping them occupied. So I'll also give my cell phone. That's 508-965-4230. And either the office or the cell are the best way to get in touch with me at this point. And we also have a website, msmw-law.com. law.com.
And I'll have you give that information out again in a second, folks. If you want to get a pen, you can get one. I want to ask him a couple more questions. So you handle a lot of different types of law. Tim, what are you seeing out there in the business community? You obviously deal with a lot of businesses. People who have businesses right now probably need lawyers more than anything else, again, to get their affairs in order. What are you seeing out there in the business community?
Well, there's so much uncertainty in the business community, and everyone is grappling with the same types of questions. I think everyone understands and wants to reopen. I think everybody wants to get their employees back to work. They want to get their businesses up and running. But I do truly believe that everybody wants to do so in the safest manner possible. And I think that the safety of the employees to all these business owners is of the paramount importance. So I think a lot of the times, as a business owner, whether large or small, you have so many different areas in which you're dealing with or in which you're making decisions on. One of the things that I would suggest is whether it's your attorney or your accountant, just talk to them and make sure if you have a payroll person, they talk to them. If you're using some of these PPP small business loans, make sure you're doing it in a way where you absolutely minimize the amount of money you're going to have to pay back. That's number one. Then number two, as a small business owner with a lot on your plate, you may not have enough time to go through what the governor has come down and said what the mandatory workplace requirements are for safety. And you may not really know how to get there yet. And that's something that an attorney can help you with. They should be able to understand what is required from the state, and especially if they work with other businesses. You should be able to bounce ideas and use ideas from one client to another to help everyone get back to work in a safe manner, but most importantly, get people back to work, get the economy going a little bit, and do the best we can to prevent the spread of this horrible disease.
We're speaking with Tim Walsh. Yeah, Tim, it's a great point, right? There's all new liabilities that we didn't even think about a few months ago, right?
Exactly. So, one of the things I think that business owners have to think about is, do I want to do testing for my employees? And then if someone does come down with COVID, or someone in their circle comes down with COVID, how am I going to do contact tracing just within my own facility? Am I going to have people come in small teams and work in groups to limit the exposure? Am I going to put up glass partitions? I think those are all plans that potentially a good business attorney can help you with.
As I said, we're speaking with Tim Walsh. So, Tim, you also practice criminal law. What's going on out there in the world of crime?
Well, the world of crime, because people have done a great job with this stay-at-home order, it has really slowed down. I think that overall, I think the overall arrest numbers are down significantly because people just aren't outside. Bars are closed. People aren't. There's not as much drinking and driving. There's not as much fights or things associated with that. So I think overall the crime numbers are down. Well, the arrest numbers are down a little bit. I think it's too early to tell if the crime numbers are actually down. But I do think that when this ends, and then the criminal court system is going to have its hands full trying to catch back up, quite frankly, Chris. And I think that we're going to see over the summer that the courts are going to try to start doing a lot more stuff remotely, something that we've never seen in the criminal world before. So I think that there are going to be motions heard, cases resolved, maybe even trials conducted remotely, again, until we get our arms around this disease.
We're speaking with Tim Walsh. As he points out, there's a lot of things you need to plan. You need to plan in advance. And even you criminals out there, you need to plan in advance. If you're going to do something, you need to make sure you have a good lawyer. How do they reach you, Tim?
That number is 508-993-9711. My cell number is 508-965-4230, and our website, msmw-law.com.
All right.
Sorry, Chris.
No, thanks so much for joining us, Tim. I appreciate it. Give your best to my family. All great people. Appreciate it. And thanks for joining us this morning.
Chris, thank you for having me. It was a great time. I appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye. That was Tim Walsh from the Walsh family of New Bedford here, right? Good guy, and I thought I talked to him the other night, and we were talking about this, what's going on out there, and I thought he had some really good points, and I wanted to make sure I brought him to you folks. Again, we've got a lot of fine legal people in this community. A lot of friends of the show are good lawyers, and so as their time allows, we'll try to bring them on the show to just give you some basic information. Tell you what we're going to do. If you're on hold, stay there. I will come back to you, but I do have to take a very short break.